I know the air I'm breathing, it's no good for my lungs. I do this every season, I hate when summer comes. I fall into a trap that I made by myself. Oh, and I always do the wrong thing. I'm unstable and I'm unsteady, I've lost a million times already, and I'm so sorry, but I'm not able to slow down. I feel unable and so unworthy, my heart feels heavy, I've lost already, and I'm so sorry, but I'm not able to slow down now. And I'm so sorry, but I'm not able to slow down now. And I'm so sorry, but I'm not able to slow down now. I'm always self-destructive, I take a hit, I love it. Can you give me a second? I'm slow, got blurry vision. I fall into a trap that I made by myself. Oh, and I always do the wrong thing. I'm unstable and I'm unsteady, I've lost a million times already, and I'm so sorry, but I'm not able to slow down. I feel unable and so unworthy, my heart feels heavy, I've lost already, and I'm so sorry, but I'm not able to slow down now. Please help me see the things that I am, I don't understand. I'm doing the best that I can right now, but it's never enough. I'm not even ready to slow down. Just slow down. And I'm so sorry, but I'm not able to slow down now. And I'm so sorry, but I'm not able to slow down now. I know the air I'm breathing, it's no good for my lungs. I do this every season, I hate when summer comes. I fall into a trap that I made by myself. Oh, and I always do the wrong thing. I'm unstable and I'm unsteady, I've lost a million times already, and I'm so sorry, but I'm not able to slow down. I feel unable and so unworthy, my heart feels heavy, I've lost already, and I'm so sorry, but I'm not able to slow down now. And I'm so sorry, but I'm not able to slow down now. And I'm so sorry, but I'm not able to slow down now. I'm always self-destructive, I take a hit, I love it. Can you give me a second? I'm slow, got blurry vision. I fall into a trap that I made by myself. Oh, and I always do the wrong thing. I'm unstable and I'm unsteady, I've lost a million times already, and I'm so sorry, but I'm not able to slow down. I feel unable and so unworthy, my heart feels heavy, I've lost already, and I'm so sorry, but I'm not able to slow down now. Please help me see the things that I am, I don't understand. I'm doing the best that I can right now, but it's never enough. I'm not even ready to slow down. Just slow down. I know the air I'm breathing, it's no good for my lungs. I do this every season, I hate when summer comes. I fall into a trap that I made by myself, oh, and I always do the wrong thing. I'm unstable and I'm unsteady, I've lost a million times already, and I'm so sorry, but I'm not able to slow down. I feel unable and so unworthy, my heart feels heavy, I've lost already, and I'm so sorry, but I'm not able to slow down now. And I'm so sorry, but I'm not able to slow down now. And I'm so sorry, but I'm not able to slow down now. I'm always self-destructive, I take a hit, I love it. Can you give me a second? I'm slow, got blurry vision. I fall into a trap that I made by myself, oh, and I always do the wrong thing. I'm unstable and I'm
Welcome, ladies and gents, to round 4 of the F5 Championship for PSGL. As you can see, there is nobody either side of me. Daniel is currently occupied helping out a friend, and I hope that he and his friend is doing okay. That being said, the stream does not stop. The grind does not end just because one person is missing. Much like the drivers here, you can't take a break because the championship will twist and turn if you do so. Talking of the championship, of course, we had a double, another McLaren 1-2, the same action that we saw back in Austria with a McLaren 1-2 from there, but the roles reversed. Vincent not at the top this time. It was Fionn taking the win from Vincent, actually, though he played the strategy game, and instead of really kind of taking the risk, he decided to play it safe than sorry, which has massively changed up the standings. Fionn currently leads the standings, of course. You have to remember Vincent wasn't here in Miami, which means that he has a 7-point lead ahead of Vincent, of which Vincent is not got massively between the people behind, because Dimitri, again, with strong performances, coming in first in America and third in if I get my words out, Belgium. He has put on a great performance, finding himself only 8 points behind. And then a bit further back, Jerry Van Bussel Again, consistency has been within the top bunch. 8 points in Austria, 8 points in Belgium, and then in Miami, getting those beautiful 10 points, meaning he's only 9 points behind. So 7, 8, 9 point gap from Fionn, who is the leader of this championship. So it's all to play for, and it could twist and turn in any form if they really wanted to, as we are very quickly going to be getting into this race. Now, if you're not familiar where we're going, we're going to Mexico, where the land of the great, I would say, probably one of the greatest tracks, actually the second shortest track on the map. This beautiful 2.6 kilometer circuit houses 17 very tricky corners, which is not easy to navigate round as we wait for the final people to ready up into the race. We have 20 drivers in today, as I've changed screen a tad too early. There we go, the timer counting down, but there are some absolute amazing opportunity for overtaking and action to happen, particularly the straight down the straight between 17 and 1, the start finish straight, with definitely one of the longest straights on the track. We're going to see a massive amount of overtaking and opportunities through there. Action will happen at turn 1 and follow through turn 2 and possibly turn 3. We're going to see some heavy braking into turn 4, which again allows some great opportunity through 4 and 5. But you'll be surprised, because action will come about in turns 7, 8 and 9 through the S section of this track. And if you get a good run out of 10 and 11, you can find yourself maybe getting a bit punchy into 12 and follow it through to turn 13, where the beautiful stadium section, which you can see on the screen, houses an opportunity for a late lunge if you stay close through 12. There are masses of opportunity, and when Mexico came back on the calendar, it definitely raised a few eyebrows. Also, a bit about this track, it's one of the highest elevated tracks on the calendar, and we saw this problem with the likes of Mercedes having their smaller turbos not being able to take as much air intake as much as the Honda ones that the Red Bulls were using. But still, Mercedes came out with a brilliant car which put their cars on pole, but it did not perform when it came to the race, as Max Verstappen found himself winning that race and Sergio Perez getting on the podium for Mexico. But this isn't the real F1, this is the virtual F1, and place where anything can happen. The engines are the same, so no matter what you bring to the table, we will be seeing the same engine pace with no disadvantages. The names are back, the drivers are back, and Vincent is racing today as well. So I don't know why he wasn't racing prior. I'd be curious to find out. And who is first out? It'll be Kozzy, going to be the first driver out today. Kozzy's been finding himself quite a good race this season, you know, bigged himself up from the get-go, saying to Daniel that, oh, I've been winning races in the tier above, and he got points in the tier above and has won in the tier below multiple championships. So finding himself now in the middle, he's doing himself well, sitting comfortably in the mid-pack, finding himself some good points. He definitely is showing himself to be quite a ferocious racer that will pounce on the opportunity when it arises. This track, I'm looking forward to it. I have not actually counted what will be the lap times around here. I haven't really done much of my research, or probably should have done. So predictions in the chat, see what we can think is going to happen, and I will try my absolute best to see your predictions, hear you out, and raise you 5 in the idea of what it could be. As finally Kozzy is going to start his first lap. As round the corner we go, we've seen him going down in the 4th gear, and then you shift up through the gears and you find yourself hitting 8th gear just before the line. DRS zone, because it's such a long straight, is just opened up around about now, and the extra boost will come in. Now, not having DRS on the straight is critical and massively hinders you. Switch down to the third gear, short shifting up through the next two corners, turn 2 and 3, and then find the traction on the exit using as much curb as possible. Second DRS zone, again, a critical overtaking opportunities here, locking up at the front left, I think that was as well from Cozzy, but keeping it on track through the world's difficult section. I do not like turn 5, it's too narrow for my liking, but the driver's finding it nice and easy as he heads around turn 6. Again, finding your pace, slight lift and a dab on the brakes through turn 7, and this is where it gets technical. Get offline once and you find yourself in trouble here. You should be able to go flat out through turn 10 and 11 if your setup is set up correctly. You can see the drivers getting out the way. Through turn 13 we go, through and 14 and 15. And again, shift down to, he's not going to shift down to third, but some drivers will. As you power through the last corner, keeping it tight at the exit. And a 1:15.7 is the benchmark for the drivers of today. Is that going to be beaten? That's going to be very interesting as Jerry is going to start the time. And it's already been beaten at a 15:2. Theon making his way across the line. What can this man do? He's currently leading the championship. He needs to leave a mark. He needs to make it proud, but it's only second fastest as Frankie is a 10th and a half quicker than the reigning champion. Theon's teammate Vincent, again another contender in this championship, currently second. Can he do anything better? He does, but only by 20,000th of a second faster than Frankie, so it's still all up in the air. Where is Dimitri? That's definitely not Dimitri. Hello, where is Dimitri? Dimitri is coming round turn 12. He is on a push lap as well. Dimitri finding himself massive amount of pace, and he invalidates on the very last second. Finding himself a lot of pace with Dimitri. He has definitely been a strong contender in this championship. We've been seeing him start not where he wants to be and still coming up through the field to be, well, very, very competitive amongst the rest. Who is on a lap? Jeremy is on a lap for the Red Bull. Seem to be keeping it nice and neat through the S's he goes, using all the exit he can, as I believe that is Vincent getting out of the way. Current pole sitter here as use a bit of an excess of track limits in my eyes, but hey, if you can use the track limits and not get yourself invalidated, you might as well use the full advantage of it. Coming around the final corner, what can Jeremy put in? It's only 12th fastest, so there is room to improve, but it's not good enough for this lap. Attila diving himself into the pits as this is the end of the first round of lap times, unless you're Yannick. He is still out on track. He is still looking to put a lap time on the board. I think he might be... Yeah, I think he's not on a push lap though. Being already coming close to the 50s. He is going to be coming into the pits by the end of this lap, I would believe. Well, that being said, no, there is potential this is actually a push lap. I might be mistaken. I am mistaken. As he comes around the final couple of corners. What can he put in last minute? It's only 12th fastest at 1:16, so nearly a second off the lap time of the leaders, but round 2 of these laps, and as mentioned, it is all to play for. Actually, Dimitri's got up quite early on his lap, so we'll be seeing him possibly getting involved quite early on. We're going to stay with Dimitri, see what Minik can do, see what pace he has, because he's not able to set a lap time, invalidated on this stadium section. An easy area to invalidate. As round the corner he goes, you'll notice the driver's taking quite a wide line through 17. The idea of that is just to get a little bit more speed on the start of the lap, making sure that you can push all the way. into the braking zone. We see them shifting down to third briefly. Some drivers staying at fourth. And then shifting up through the corners. Again, these cars using quite high gears. So, down into the second braking zone. Is he looking decent for his lap time? It's not purple. So it's going to be up there somewhere. The slowest section of the track is the start of the second sector, which will be turns 4, 5. A horrible corner if you get wrong. Through the S's, he will find himself. And he's been keeping this lap kind of chill. It has been solid. He's stuck the car where he wants it, but now he's got traffic ahead of him, which shouldn't really affect him. But they are trying to set their own laps. Days Rumbus, his teammate, out on a lap himself, as Dimitri is going to round the final corner, goes wide and then swings it back in, getting close to the edge. What's it going to be? Only 6th fastest from Dimitri. Questions arise to his pace. Theon on a lap of his own, but his teammate Vincent up on his lap time, looking to try and break the 14 barrier. 2/10 off that lap time. There is potential room to get down to the 14. I think being 2/10 on your first run will make it a little bit harder, but never say never. Never say never with something like that, because anything is possible. As the leader is rounding turn 12, he set another purple, so he is definitely on pace to improve once again. Round the final 2 corners we go again. Swing it back in. You've got to keep it close to the edge of the track. 1:15.0. He's found 2:10, so the 1:14 is definitely doable. His teammate 4 seconds up and has invalidated once again. We're going to drop back to Days Rumbus. He's down in 17th. Can he push himself into a decent position? No, he finds himself still in 17th, but he does reduce that gap a little bit more. Who else is on a lap? Momentum is on a lap. He is improved on his lap time, which might be enough to put him into... the top 10. He needs to find a good traction around the final corner. Through turn 17 he goes. Keep it closer to the line. He puts it just onto 10th. But there are still possibly another 2 runs to go. So all is to play for as Roman invalidates once again. We're seeing a few drivers invalidate on this track. And it's quite easy to do so. Turn 5, a common area of invalidation. Turn 3, the S section. So anything from 7 to 11 is going to be very critical. And you're going to see a lot of drivers invalidate round there. Also, the exit of turn 16 catches a few people out very easily, as well as the corner cutting of turn 14. So around the corner here, you can see drivers naturally corner cutting and getting it wrong. Mattia Di Campo, he's been doing well in the Haas. Not a great performance. The last race, definitely not where he wanted to be. But Mattia definitely having some pace underneath that Haas car. Not something you hear every single day. But what can he do today around the Mexican track? He finds himself 4th. His teammate Attila down in 17th. So not backing him, not able to support him. But once again, this isn't a team game. This is all for your own good. Every man for himself. Around the final corner he goes. Put down the power, keep the traction on. Round the final corner. It's looking decent, but it's only decent for 3rd fastest. And still a 3/10 gap between these drivers. Frankie, purple first, currently in 2nd with that Mercedes. He is going to be doing what he can as he comes through the S's. He has to make the 2nd sector purple and be up by at least a 1.5 seconds to be even remotely close, and that's what he needs to do. 0.16 is the area he needs to be, because he can gain a lot more time in this sector as well as he rounds the final 2 corners. Coming up now, turn 16, turn 17, put on the power. Can he put himself on pole and disrupt the McLarens? He can't disrupt the McLarens as they still hold just around a 1/10 of a second over the Mercedes. And that is something you do not want to see, as Dimitri starts his lap as well. A driver kind of putting himself in a brilliant position actually is Kozzy, as he's not improving on his first sector, but being 5th fastest on the track is somewhere he wants to be, as Jerry Van Bussel puts himself into 3rd fastest, moving the pace and finding himself in a brilliant position, 3/10 slower, but there is still a gap between the top two. Now, have these drivers set themselves up for a race pace, or have they set themselves up for qualifying pace? Well, the only way to find out is going to be later on, as a purple middle from Kozzy, making up the time he lost in the first sector, but he needs to close that gap even more if he wants to find himself in a position to fight the top 5. Or let alone the top 3, but he dives into the pits. I don't think he felt he was at a good enough pace. Elliott, definitely not going to be improving on this lap. 1.3 seconds is somewhere he doesn't want to be, as Dimitri proves up to 7th fastest. Jerry, I believe, on his cooldown lap, or is he going for another shot here? I believe this is a cooldown lap. Yeah, 10 seconds down on his lap time. So who is on a lap? Alex is on a lap. Currently 8th fastest. Bit of an annoyance to other drivers in the sense of the way he drives. He definitely sets his car up more towards a straight line speed. He's able to find the traction with a car setup that he has. And that's a purple middle, finding himself a 10th. Now, he needs to lose about 5/10 to be in contention with the top runners, but being a midfield driver, he has shown that he can put his elbows out and definitely be an annoyance to other drivers. Around the final corner we go. Alex crosses the line. 6th fastest, that's decent. That's where he wants to find himself amongst the group. As we are closing down to 3 minutes left. So drivers need to get out now. Put in a time. I don't think Alex actually has enough time to get to the pits to sort himself out. But I tell you who is out on a lap. Well, he's on an out lap. It's Vincent. Ready to put in the last lap, but doing it quite early. Now, we have to remember track evolution is a thing, so the track will slowly get more grippier, a lot more, you know, the rubber's worn in, the heat, you know, it looks to be a very hot day. I don't know the temperatures, we don't have those statistics. That's going to play a massive effect in this race, well, in the qualifying. So let's see what these guys can do. Car number, I think that's car number 69. Yes, that is. Gonna round the final 2 corners, and here we go. Has Vincent got enough to drop into the 114s, making life just that little bit more harder for every other driver as he will start his lap. DRS opens up. He's gonna reach roughly around 205 miles an hour down the straight. Heavy braking, reducing that all the way down to around the 100 miles an hour mark as he goes through the chicanes. Drivers on their out laps having to stay out the way of the current pole sitter. And he's down on his time, but not by much. There is still room. He still has an opportunity to close that gap as he rounds turn 6. As he comes through Sector 2. Now, Sector 2 is not easy to master. As Alex, as mentioned, he's going to have to retire. There's not much he can do right now. Through the S's, what has he got? Is he must purple this section. He has to be down. He's closed it down a bit more. He's got one more sector to find some time and drop this into the 14s. As there is a queue of drivers around him trying to start their lap. And there's going to be many of them in the way. Has this affected Vincent's drive? It's going to be not enough and no improvement from the pole sitter. He is left exposed for the likes of Frankie, who have just started his lap. His teammate Fionn also had an opportunity. And Jerry, also starting his lap, has got a chance to maybe, and if they can, find some pace and close down that gap. Who is on a lap? Who is pushing? As unfortunately, Kozzy cannot improve on his lap time. He invalidates very critically when you don't want to. Norby being a brilliant driver, not finding the pace today that he really wants to, but can he put his car in a decent position to end this session? Round the final 2 corners he goes. Has he got enough to put his car into the top 10? Round the final corner he goes. Across the line, it's only 10th fastest, which is definitely not where you want to find himself, as Mattia is a bit further back. And who's that spun? That's an Alfa Romeo. I think that is Elliott has spun, so that's not going to be a good lap for him. As Frankie and Fionn have also finished, so they've not improved. So it's down to Mattia and Jerry to put in a lap. I think Jerry's gone into the pit, so Mattia is one of the last drivers. Rounds the final corner. Has he got anything left? 14, 15, puts himself 3rd fastest. He puts himself on the 2nd row of this race. Dimitri is one of the last drivers, but he is invalidated. And a broken front wing. Sitting 3rd in the championship, Dimitri has got a lot of work to do. And that will be your qualifying. Vincent will take pole once again. He finds the pace in the McLaren, while Frankie will find his Mercedes planted in 2nd place on the front row. But this track is actually better if you sit on the 2nd row. So Mattia and Fionn find themselves in a better position, as the slipstream will be your best friend. Jerry Van Bussel finds himself 5th, as Alex Barry in 6th, joining him alongside him. Joris in 7th, Kozzy finding himself next to him in 8th. Dimitri all the way down in 9th, alongside a good contender of Norby in 10th. Elliott starting outside the top 10. Unfortunately, that spin costing him dear, as Elliott will take 11th. Roman will take 12th. I'm surprised he's down there. I feel he could be a lot higher. Kinty in 13th, definitely a fighter who will find himself pushing himself a bit higher up, as Jeremy will be in the Red Bull in 14th, and Momentio in 15th. Rookie all the way down in 16th, not where he wants to be in his Aston Martin. Days Rombus still struggling to find himself points, down in 17th. Yannick in the Alpine in 18th. Attila in 19th, and then Alexander Johansson did not set a lap time in the AlphaTauri. So a very, very mixed grid, with 2 drivers really standing out, being Vincent and Frankie. Definitely got the pace that they were looking for, and definitely on the prows to put up a magnificent fight. And oh my lord, once again, F5 is cursed with rain. It's gonna be very interesting, because I think this is full wet. It would be interesting to see, because of course, this will probably explain why some drivers did not come out with some very fast lap times. They were probably focusing on using their wet setup rather than going for the dry setup that you most commonly see. And we're not going to get a formation lap once again. We're going to go straight into it. It's 5 lights and the race is underway, and it seems to be a very good start by Fionn, as he's going to find the pace to overtake the 2nd place runner of Frankie, and they run down to the 1st corner. And I said the 2nd row is definitely more favourable, as Fionn is trying to find what he can, as round the outside Mattia is trying to get good grip, but he goes off the track, and it's not going to be favourable for him, as Fionn gains not 1 but 2 positions as he runs around the rear end of the McLaren, and Dimitri Dimitri from 9th finds himself in 4th with Jerry Van Bussel in the way. He's definitely want to get past him early, and he cannot find the braking zone to get past him, but he needs to be careful as Alex Beery is going to try and find a room or any form of path round the inside of Dimitri, as that Alfa Romeo is not looking grippy, not looking strong, good off the line, but that's about it. Cozzy also under threat by the Mercedes of Frankie, who has dropped multiple positions, started 2nd place, is still running down the field as Joros is going to go side by side through the S's, and Frankie doing whatever he can to hold his position, but he is struggling like mad. He cannot fold what he has, and from 2nd place he will timber and fall as he goes further and further back down the grid as the mid-pack eats him alive, and the wet track not favouring him for 1 second. Up ahead, definitely in the lead, as the 2 McLarens, once again, McLaren 1-2 will be fighting it out. Down the straight we go, and it's going to be, we're actually going to keep an eye on Dimitri, as he's the one definitely trying to push and definitely get himself back into this championship fight, as the top 4 are the contenders for this championship. And Dimitri is going to be getting punchy. I don't think he's going to wait too long, as there's more action happening midfield, as Mattia is dropping up and down the field right now. I think he has had a poor exit, as there is, and as it's going to be Roman going to be fighting it out. I did not mean to click that. There we go. As he's going to try and get past the Haas. The Haas is trying to defend hard any form of room. He lunges around the outside, but there isn't enough room. There's 4 cars going through the same area, but he's still... The battle for 10th place continues as Elliott sees a train of cars around him, and the 2 Hasses are under threat by other teams. Roman and Days Rumbus getting involved with all this battle. Jeremy getting there as well. They're going side by side through the S's, and it is chaos amongst the final points. They are all close in this wet weather, not favouring anybody at all, as Days Rumbus, not the right camera, Days Rumbus is under threat by Attila. Attila wanted to get involved, as I think there is a crash on the track, and finally the chaos will come to an end. Safety car, the virtual safety car I believe, has come out to play, and wow, the back. The final points definitely being something to be fought over. Just 1 point, and Elliott had to fend it all off. And it is messy around there, as the car will be cleared away. Ready for another battle. Ready for another fight. These drivers are willing to go down and get dirty with their strategy. Side by side amongst them all. So who has lost out? That is the question we ask. And the main people who have lost out is Frankie and the Mattia. Losing 6 for Frankie. Mattia down 8 places, not where he wanted to be. Started P3 as the race will get underway once again. Dimitri gaining 5, so he's been the biggest gainer. Well, actually Attila gaining 7 positions, finding himself in P12. But he is amongst the group. The horrible battle for the last point. He's amongst that group, which makes it a little bit harder to fight it out, as I think the battle will continue. As Mattia, he's got some blood. He is fuming with red rage. He needs points if he wants a shot at this championship. It's early on, but he will be wanting every ounce of what he can do, as Mattia is going to go for blood. His teammate Attila is also behind him, so he has backup if they want to play the team strategy game. But as mentioned earlier in qualifying, these guys aren't going to play strategy. They aren't going to play team. They're out there for blood. And here we go. Mattia, down the straight we go. He is ridiculously close, and he's going to find it easy as Elliott decides to pull out, defend that in middle line. Defend the inside line, cover it off, but the straight line speed of Elliott is strong, and he's able to hold himself brilliantly down the straight, and brilliant work from him as Frankie and Joris also overtaking each other. Is this going to be another train of battles? It might end up being, as up ahead, Sorry, Jerry Van Bussel is going to be under threat by Dimitri. Dimitri getting his, going through the inside, but Jerry Van Bussel getting his elbows out. He is trying to hold the position through turn 6. We go. Sector 2, known for many overtakes, many risks, as the battle for the podium position is all that's left. As they go through the S's, we find Dimitri still holding his ground. He is not letting Jerry pass. He is not going to end this without a fight. Jerry going off track as he has to let it go and let the Alfa Romeo pass for now. As into the braking zone, he goes, and Jerry once again going wide. So that's going to be questionable amongst the stewards. Of course, this is a wet track. It's very hard to brake, but critically, you've got to keep all 4 wheels on the circuit. As again, he is lighting up the rear end of that Williams, and it is allowing Dimitri to come right back at him. It's allowing him to close the gap and go for it one more time as they go down into turn 1. The third place is now back into Dimitri's hand. And Dimitri, starting down in P9, finds himself on the podium and still fighting in this championship. I don't think this fight will be over, not until the last lap comes around. That rain is pouring hard, and I do not see any sign of it calming down as there. Dimitri, once again, even he's not finding the traction. He's looking for a head, so these cars, as we know, can run a lot closer to one another. They are able to stay within the slipstream. They're able to, you know, allow for a lot more overtaking. But what we're seeing with these in the wets, and especially with F5, who we've been cursed with the wet weather, these guys are definitely making the most of this close action and able to just stick at the rear end and keep going. Where is the action, we ask ourselves? It's down in P8 is the closest action as they head round the stadium section. One of the few places where the podium is actually surrounded by 360 degrees. It's one of the only tracks where you don't actually have the podium celebration right in front of the start-finish line. Talking about who's not going to be celebrating, it's going to be Frankie. He's not going to be celebrating as the Williams is closing in and in. He's not going to make a move just yet. He's a little too far back. He's going to have to wait patiently for the opportunity to open up once again. He's got another shot down into turn 4. Get a good exit round here. Don't light up your tyres, because 1, that'll wear it down, and 2, it's wet. The traction is not going to be there, but Frankie also is getting pretty punchy as well. He's trying to close down on Cozzy, but he's unable to find it as further back, as you can see on your timing screen. Days Rumbus is going down the field. So something has happened for him. It's not worked out for Days Rumbus, the Xbox player, moving himself to the PC side as more action happens down into 16th, as I believe they're going side by side, but that's gone wide for Frankie. Frankie leaving a door opportunity for Joris. Joris is definitely going to take that sniff and go, thank you very much, I'm going to have a look. But the Mercedes holding up tight. He's held himself off for a little bit, but he won't have it for much longer. If he stays close, Joris, to Frankie, he might be able to get it on the start-finish straight. The gap ahead, as the race calms down, spreads itself out, is going to be separated by seconds, a couple of 2 seconds, especially amongst the leaders. But Joris is on the prowl. He's on the hunt, hunting down the Mercedes. You don't hear this every day. The Williams hunting a Mercedes. That's a new phrase we're going to hear. As he closes on to Frankie. Has he got the straight line speed? But no, Frankie's got a good setup running here, which is allowing him to stay ahead. Roman and Attila getting a bit punchy. Actually, these guys are getting a bit punchy themselves. It's down the inside. Attila onto Roman. As Elliott has to cut the corner, he's gone off track and he's messed up dramatically again. 3-second time penalty for Elliott, and Roman is going to make a mistake, allowing Rookie to come up beside him and take the position off. But he needs to be careful because Alexander could steal a position as well into turn 4 we go, and yes, there we go, Alexander finding the position easily, and unfortunately, Roman braking a bit too late and messing up in the corner, costing him critical positions. Elliott under threat from the Haas of Attila. And Elliott has been playing the defensive game throughout this race. He's not been pushing or attacking anybody. He is 7 seconds behind Mattia, who is in a little battle with the train for 7th. But nothing will come of it just yet. But there is a critical opportunity. It's Elliott running wide. And now he has to fend off into turn 13. And it's going to cost him not one, but it's going to cost him a little bit more. As Attila make a mistake. Contact through the final corner. Oh, Elliott into the wall. It's going to cause him a little bit of damage to the car. And chaos is going to cause from this back group. As you could see, the car ghosted. He has to get himself back on track as they go down the start-finish straight. The two AlphaTauris going side by side. Alexander, well, Elliott actually, sorry, fighting a huge amount of pace. Where is that straight line speed coming from? But the Aston Martin staying on the inside. He is still fighting and wanting something of action. Roman at the rear is going to try and sneak up and get 2, possibly 3 drivers on this straight, as the back lot are definitely going for blood. They are definitely fighting it out, as unfortunately Roman is only going to find 1 position through turn 4 and 5. And now the Ferrari of Kinty finally getting involved, and Elliott having to go wide. I think there's problems with his car as he backs out of the fight. He knows he can't fight that section just yet. Hold off, wait for another opportunity to arise. No, there's clear damage on that car. He's unable to turn it, as more penalties are gonna head his way. Oh dear, Alexander. A lot of the drivers aren't finding their braking points, which is costing them possible track limits. As there is a yellow flag. I think that's for Elliott. I think the brakes are gone for him, as there is a safety car. I think it's a virtual for the group, as Elliott, I think, was stuck there a little bit too long. And this is going to help a lot of drivers. Going to be able to eke out the tyre strategy just for a little bit longer. As Elliott gets a 5-second time penalty as well for speeding in the pit lane. And it's easy mistakes. And I feel sorry for Elliott. You know, he was in a great position to start things off, you know, up there. In the thick, he was a top 10. Now having to retire, it's not gone his way at all. And the action we have seen today has been phenomenal. Definitely been something that I would want to watch quite a lot. I kind of wish I had a co right now. I genuinely wish I had a co, because my voice is already dying and I'm already on lap 9. Normally, my voice dies near the end. Thanks, guys. You're making me work. Virtual safety car will be coming to an end at some point, of course, to get an indication. There we go. Talking about it ending. Bang. We are racing once again, and Joris finding the most amount of pace out of the lot as he comes through the final corner. He's going to be looking at Frankie. Frankie started, just to remind you all, he started second. He has been able to make up some ground, but not massive amount of ground. And it puts him in a critical, dangerous position, because he's gained some, but he's been losing out on others. There's Frankie trying to break the toe off the Williams, but not being also effective, as this rain is horrible. You can see the amount of standing water from the perspective of the Williams. And the gearing, you can see how gently they're having to press on that throttle, even in high gears. It is not an easy track for them. Another driver looking to make moves and make some attacks is Cozzy up in P6. He's getting close to Alex Berry. He's definitely wanting to fight. He's This will be the first time we'll see him in the top 5 appearances as, oh god, I have to look back here once again. The battle for the points once again continues. I swear these guys are just out for blood today. I told them, go and make it interesting, and oh boy, oh boy. Oh, darling, you have made it interesting as Rookie puts that rear end out, and that's critically going to be a danger for himself. This is actually not a battle for points, it's a battle for P11, just to let you know. But these guys have been making it the most interesting as the out of points battle, because not a lot is happening. Up ahead, Dimitri is 8/10 behind Fion. And he is closing at a dramatic rate. Hold up. What is happening here? He is closing dramatically. We're going to pull ourselves to the battle for second. And Fion, he's not been able to rival with his McLaren teammate. But he now has to look at his rear view mirror. Because look at the timing board as it goes. It stagnates, but it's not looking good. So did Fion make a mistake which has allowed Dimitri to get close to be able to come in and fight for a position, well, fight for second place? As once again, the 12th place battle, there you go, that's the 12th place battle, is tossing and turning, still going at each other's throats like a wild pack. Wanting blood. They're looking for all opportunities, these guys. A small gap, and they're going for it as well. There's a small gap for Roman. Roman's going to go down the inside of of Alexander, and will be successful through the S as they go. Vincent has found himself in quite a good position. Fastest lap after fastest lap. He's found his rhythm on this track. He's definitely found something that has clicked for him. It's working, and it is definitely looking to be in his favour. Pulling a 4-second gap onto Fion, but Fion, you know, he's been, it's a very much, I think he's been holding a good amount of pace himself, but not enough, because 4 seconds behind. There's a lot that can happen as Mattia is going to get overtake Norby. And I believe that was down into turn 1, so brilliant move by them. But that fight is still going on as Norby, I think, might try something back onto Mattia. As down we go. Remember, there is, I believe, there is not actually a, well, what would be in the dry, there's not a detection zone, so we don't even need to talk about DRS today because it is raining. If you're new to F1 and you have no idea what I'm on about, don't worry about DRS for today. When it becomes dry, we'll have a discussion, we'll have a chat to it. I look forward to seeing you guys next week if you want to learn about DRS and its power and effects. But right now it is wet and drizzling in the lovely land of Mexico. Something you don't usually hear. And something which, for sure, is going to be interesting. Fion finding his pace. He's definitely found himself a little bit of a gap as I believe Dimitri might have made a mistake, which has dropped him back to 1.6 seconds. And a little bit of breathing room for Fion. Of course, 1.6 is definitely not a lot in the eyes of the F1 scene. So there is a lot of work to happen as the first 2 drivers to pit. As the pit stops will commence, and it will be Mattia and Joris going for the pit stop now. An immersive pit stops. Hit your marks. There is a little line in front of them. You have to hit it, and that will determine the time to go in, as intermediates are going to be the choice of tyre as they finally come out. So is this too early, or is this the right time? We're going to try and keep an eye on Mattia and Joris and seeing what their pace is when they come out of the pit lane. And is this the right time to do it? Because the other drivers up ahead will have to start thinking about that. Of course, this means that they're going to be running on that tyre a lot longer, and there's not going to be a lot of tyre life come the end of the race. So, will the leader, Vincent, will he capitalise on this? Is this the time that you go and pit? You've seen a couple of drivers. I don't know if he's got any information to say that there's drivers at pits. He might have to track map to see that people have. Is it now he goes? No. So Vincent is confident on these wet tyres. He's not feeling it's the right time. Of course, they have a team radio in sense of, you know, it's not Jeff anymore, but the McLaren team engineer is talking down your ear, giving you an idea of what's happening. But Dimitri and Jerry thinking it is the right time for them, as the intermediates will start to go on. And where is this putting Dimitri? There is a little bit of a gap, as Jerry Van Bussel as well, the man he's been fighting with a little earlier on in this race, and a man he has definitely had a few battles with throughout this race. We've definitely seen Dimitri and Jerry fight it out in Miami, and that was a very intense battle, while Dimitri once again tried to make his way through the field, starting down, I think it was outside the top 6. Dimitri found his place up back and winning that race, for a matter of fact, but had Jerry Van Bussel getting punchy and denying the opportunity to do much with that. So, a mixture of strategies, a definite change in pace. And a lot of the drivers have stopped. There is a battle actually for 8th happening right now, as Attila and Jerry is going to fight. Oh, Attila has not pitted yet, so Attila is still on the full wets. As finally Vincent has gone into pits. Critically, Vincent is in the pits, and that will put Fionn to stay out for one more lap. So there we go. Looks to be a fairly decent stop. Sub 3 second stop, which is what you want to see from these cars as the rest of the drivers go out. And Fionn is stuck out on full wet still. Now, how much is that going to impact his race? Because we're going to have to keep an eye on Dimitri and his pace come this next part. Alex Berry is finding himself dropping down to 6th place. He's able to hold his ground. Of course, tyres are going to be colder than usual because there are no tyre blankets when the tyres come out for the pits. There's Alex Johnson setting the fastest lap of the race on those intermediates, and we wait for the last driver, well actually Attila and Fionn, the last drivers, to come out, go into the pits and change for those intermediates. Fionn denied because Vincent decided that he was going to make the stop. There is your current race leader, current leader of the championship as well, of which, if I've got the maths right, he will still remain leader of the championship if it stands that he goes 2nd place. Round the final corner we go, and into the pits our championship leader goes. I've got a feeling that Vincent will be a-okay and will retake the late race, but it will be this man, Dimitri. We'll keep an eye on. Has the McLaren team gonna get him out quick enough, as Fionn is coming to the end of the pit box? The lead will change. Here comes Dimitri. He's put in the fastest lap of the race. He's pumping down the lap times. There is Fionn. He has to now defend. He's not got the pace. He's coming out the pit lane. Dimitri dives down the inside and puts himself into 2nd place, massively locking up. But Fionn has got track position into turn 2, but loses out to turn 3, trying to make the switcheroo work. Down into turn 4, he's going to have to make a move. Down on the inside, being forced off the track, and still Fionn fights it out. But Dimitri has gone wide and has allowed Fionn to hold the position, as Fionn finally holds the position, and the pit stop has saved him, and Dimitri runs into the back of Fionn, not helping him at all, as this is going to continue for a little bit. What a lucky situation for Fionn, able to defend and keep hold of that position, fighting to his very last breath. He wasn't going to let Dimitri get through. He needs to hold his position, and he knows that 2nd place will keep him at the top. Well, I believe it'll keep him at the top of this championship. So critically, he needs to stay 2nd to extend his lead further, especially to Dimitri, who currently is 3rd in this championship battle. Round the final corner we go. And we are going to get another attack. I don't think Dimitri is close enough this time round to make a move. But I tell you who is close enough to make a move. It's this man here, Kozzy. He's close enough to make a move. And actually as well, I think Frankie might make a move round... Well, he's going to go round all the way around the outside of these two drivers as he tries his luck. But Frankie unable to make a move. Started out on P2 but not working too well as Kinksy retires in the pit lane. And still, the battle for 8th continues as the Haas has not lost one position. But Attila has lost 2. Of course, Attila is still running on those full wets. So no surprise there as he might lose more. So I don't know what Attila is waiting for. But he is eking out those wet tyres for as long as he can. And slowly Attila will fall down the grid. As once again Norby and Rookie are going to be fighting it out. No surprise right there. And they still are going at it. No, no. There we go. They are one. I think Rookie, Norby, Alexander, and Roman have been the guys that have been fighting the most out of everybody, keeping this whole thing entertained and keeping us all on edge. And definitely brought the entertainment value for today's race. And hats off goes to them. And you know, hats off to Dimitri pulling out what is an amazing performance from him. A comeback that I'm always surprised every time you see a driver, you know, they've not performed too well in qualifying and then they pull off race pace like this. It always surprises you how well they do that. And it makes you question, okay, why aren't they setting these lap times in qualifying but able to put in lap times during the race? And one answer can be that the setup is designed for the race. It's designed to be averagely quicker than the car around a circuit doing multiple laps. The other answer is, well, pushing that car to limit is what they do there is what they're doing now. It's their constant race pace is pushing that car, and there are many answers to that question, of which you don't know unless you're a driver. Areas of action is, we've got the battle for second place as the two almost kind of level themselves out. I think Dimitri is losing out a little bit here. In the battle for 6th as Kozzy and Frankie. These two here also very close to each other. A stalemate at the moment, but later on it can get a bit punchy indeed. And then the battle for 8th as well. So they're just jumping here and there as it'll be Joris and Mattia once again battling amongst each other. Definitely going to try and do something as Mattia is looking the most punchiest right now, but he's not in the slipstream. So I don't know if Mattia wants to make the move here or if he's trying to line up another move later on as he's going to try and do the switchback, get better lines through these corners, then provide himself a better exit, which is definitely looking good for Mattia. But Joris finding a good exit of his own, able to fend off the Haas just that little bit longer. And surprise, surprise, Attila is dropping further back. I didn't mean the surprise. I thought that was going to be a battle and Rookie and another Haas fighting out. Attila's still going, actually. Not stopped just yet. So that battle continues further and further. And just an update for the front. Dimitri is now a second behind Fion. Vincent reclaims the fastest lap of the race, and with 6 seconds gap, I think he's quite comfortable where he is as Fion actually takes away my statement. As Fion closes down his gap, he's putting in the power to try what he can. With not a lot of action just yet. As I said, it's stalemate battles within the top 10, though there is not a stalemate battle between these two. As Attila is going to further again drop back, but that's going to make it a bit more difficult for Alexander, who's got a brilliant launch and is not only going to overtake Attila, but he's going to find himself in a far better position to overtake Norby. Wow! He's going to go for what? 1 for 2. He's going to try his best to try and get the switchback, but Norby gets his elbows out and says, I'll hold this line here. You ain't getting past, and definitely holding his ground. And now Attila still on the full wet, may I remind you, fighting back and saying, you know what? Still going. Still got something here. But Attila has to drop back and say, you know what? I can see this position. It is all yours. And I think Attila really does need to pit. I don't know why he's still out, but you know what? You got to give it a crack. You have to give it a crack. The track, I think the rain, personally, is still slowly dripping. So it's a lot lighter than it was before. Hence why I was seeing on this intermediates. But I feel there is potential this could end with some slicks right at the end. The question is it going to be dry enough? And is there enough time for drivers to do it? And what is going to be the damage for the people who do take that risk right at the end of the race? Lap 21 and more battling is going to come down as Mattia Di Campo is eyeing up a move on that. Williams is going to have to play safe for now and try and find a way to just get that car in a position to fight through this through turns 2 and 3 and make his move down to turn 4. But once again, Joris getting a good exit through turn 3, but allowing him to stay safe into turn 4. But Mattia putting in a purple middle, so it makes you question, what did Joris put in to hold his ground? As once again, we will wait for another battle, or wait for another straight and the start-finish straight to open up. Frankie is losing out onto Cozzy. He's dipping into the 1 second mark, and slowly that slipstream will not become favourable for him, as Dimitri as well. A little bit of an update for the top 3 is now 1.8, nearing towards the 2 second mark, and is dropping further and further back as we head onto lap 22. No drivers yet have been lapped, so they are all still fighting on the same lap. At the back of the grid, Days Rumbus finding himself in 15th. But there is still potential for him to come back. But this is where the battling is. Mattia is going to dive it down the inside. He's been eyeing up this move for a little bit. And finally, 8th place is looking good for him. He needs to hold his ground because we know that Williams is definitely going to fight and is not going to give in all too easily. But the inside line of turn 3 will come into Mattia's favour. And now he has to just hold off Joris just for a little bit longer as Joris looks to go around the outside. The favourable position to attack when going into turn 4 and 5, because you get the inside of turn 5 and the favour of the inside line of turn 6, as Joris is still holding out, but with a little bit of contact and the argy-bargy, Mattia will find himself on the inside line into turn 7, and that move is now safe. But Joris needs to keep an eye out behind, because the driver of the Aston Martin rookie is now going to say, well, you two been squabbling. Now I want a piece of action and getting involved with the battle that is ahead of him. He's going to have to wait through the stadium section, because it's not really a great move unless you get a good run through turn 12. You can't really do much in this stadium section. So stay close, stick close, which is exactly what Rookie is doing. And he is going to find himself in a brilliant position. That's a good exit from the Aston Martin. As he closes down, you can see the ERS being enabled. And he cruises past the Williams. And that is a move well done. And that Williams actually somehow sticking with the Aston Martin a little bit late on the break. But the move's done. The job is done. And goodbye to Joris, who loses 2 positions in a space of around about a lap. Rookie is now going to find his pace. He's got a little bit of work to catch up with Mattia. It isn't too far away, but Mattia's broken away from that 1 second barrier. Well, he's just dipped back under. So he's on the threshold of the 1 second barrier, where he needs to be under to really grant himself a good shot. Talking to people under that 1 second barrier, it's Frankie. Frankie has been getting ever so closer onto this Red Bull, and he's definitely wanting to get this job done. You can see the lines he's taking. He's looking for exits, making it easier for himself, rounding the final corner. 5/10 behind. It's doable. It's very much doable with a lunge, but I don't think it's close enough for this lap, as he's going to have to settle for now and stick behind as Rookie, setting a fastest lap of the race, finding absolutely amazing pace. And I said about the 1 second threshold, so he's put himself into position and contention with Mattia, as Frankie is trying not to, I believe he's trying to manage his tyres a little bit, not allowing the hot air of Cozzy to overheat his tyres, because as much as these new cars are brilliant, there is still a little bit of tyre management needed amongst these guys. As Attila, I've just realised, has finally pitted. He's 12 seconds down. I think he was trying to wait out for the dry patch to come, but it was nowhere to be seen. As the rain stopped? The rain has technically stopped. Lap 24, who are we going to see taking that risk? Actually, what has? No, Attila still hasn't stopped. He's still on wets. 23 lap old wets. As Jerry Van Bussel is in the pits, so maybe is this time, and is it the risk we're waiting to see? Medium tyres going on for Jerry Van Bussel. It is time for slicks. It is time for the next compound of tyres. We started off on wets. We then saw the drivers go down onto the intermediates, and now finally the mediums have come out. But already I feel this is too early, as Jerry gets a slap of a tanker of oversteer on the exits. I think it's a little too early. They are fresh mediums, as Norby is also gone in for softs as well. Roman going on to the mediums, and a couple of drivers experimenting early on in this on the stint. Is it mediums or is it softs? Are they going too early? I think maybe a couple more laps, and then we start to see these drivers change over from the wets to the dry compounds. But we're going to have to wait and see. What does the leaders do? Are they coming into pit? Are they taking that risk? Because Jerry's gone in. So if you're Dimitri, you would have to think about your next move very carefully. And here's... oh, there he is. There's Dimitri. He's deciding against it. So he's sticking on to that, staying with that set of tyres. So who now makes the next move? Lap 26, 10 laps to go. Cozzy is going to take the next risk, which is going to allow Frankie to pull away. But catching up to Cozzy, and a bit of clear air might do him some good, but a lot more drivers taking the risk, taking the opportunity that is there. Alexander has been looking punchy today, but not punchy enough. Is he going to look down the inside? There's nothing of it just yet, but Rookie is going to try and do something with Mattia. Rookie been closing down that gap after overtaking Joris, and Joris not looking too favourable, as he's been dropping down the order himself, as he's got a driver behind him. But Rookie unable to make the move just yet. He has to stay behind for a little bit longer, but if he can get a good exit here and find the gap, he might be able to launch something into turn 6. No. He says, not right now, not my time, not the right opportunity, as he sticks ever so closely to Mattia. And it's going to take only one of these drivers to go into the pits, and the other group will make that move and try their best. It's all about covering off the other driver, as there is yellow flags around. Who is it? I think that is Roman. Yeah, and that's a front wing completely gone for Roman on those medium tyres. So the mediums aren't firing up the way they want to right now. And Jerry Van Bussel is actually losing out a little bit here, as that's not working too well for him. As once again, Rookie is going to try and punch his way through Mattia and find some form of gap. But that gap, once again, it's just not there. It's no room for the Aston Martin to get past the wide Haas that is just staying on track and finding the pace that he needs to in the braking zone and through the corners. As down into turn 4 we go, and once again, not enough from the Aston Martin. DRS has been re-enabled, so now we're definitely getting into the regions of the soft tyre. And it's a clear indication when you know DRS is re-enabled, it's going to get interesting. So these drivers that are really close to each other are definitely going to capitalise it. And Joris, who needs the DRS for sure, is in a sticky situation. The front runners are saying, you know what, no, this is not the right move to pit. There's only 8 laps remaining. Why do it? Though saying that, Dimitri in the pits he goes. And that is another critical move because he needs to stay ahead of the 12th place Jerry Van Bussel. But with a 12-second gap, that's going to massively help him. As again, Alex Berry is also going into the pits. So are we going to now see more drivers taking this risk on the soft tyres? And I will believe it's going to be soft tyres for these drivers. As there is Dimitri getting ahead of this battle. And talking to getting ahead of this battle. Here comes the Aston Martin down the inside on the intermediate. It's not going to take one, but he's going to try and get past Dimitri to annoy the leader. One of the contenders, essentially. But he can't do it as his little battle will cost him quite a bit. He does get the DRS, so this is going to be favourable for the Aston Martin. And Dimitri does not want that car to get past him because that's going to be extra work for him later on. Through turn 5 now we go, and they still, Dimitri falling down the order. Those cold tyres are not looking good. He needs to heat them up faster because he now has Joris right behind, and those people on the inters are still finding some form of pace and still able to stay within this fight. And Dimitri critically is not looking favourable as Fionn and Vincent still do not pit. And these guys on the inters, they might start to think now, what's the point of pitting here if we have still got pace on these inter tyres and are not losing out but lunging down the inside. There's a back marker. I think that's Norby not having the great race for himself today, getting out of the way. And when will these guys pit? And there goes the Aston Martin. There's the Haas. So finally they're in the pits. And Dimitri's eyes is set ahead. He is looking to pounce on Fionn. And thankfully having a double dose of DRS is going to massively help the Alfa Romeo driver to try and punch himself back into this competition and back into this race, as he's got to really close down the gap. If you're Fionn right now, he can see the gap. It's 28 seconds, so there is an opportunity here to work at it. Pit stop time around 20-ish seconds, but Fionn's still setting purple middles. So if you're setting purple middles, would you really want to ruin track position and go for the pit? That being said, race leader thinks it is. It's time, and they're double stacking! They're double stacking, that's critical! Is this going to be an absolute disaster, or is it going to massively work? Oh no, Fionn is going to have a brief pause, but luckily it ain't too long, and that's going to allow Dimitri to come in. He set a purple middle. But has Dimitri been able to close the gap fast enough to get back at the two McLarens? No, the gap has increased because of the battle we had with the back group of rookie Joris, Mattia and Alexander. So a purple all round as Dimitri sets the fastest lap of the race, but his efforts do not go unnoted, but they were well fought and not good enough for this time. As here comes Joris. Oh, he's loving this right now, going backwards for the middle stint of this race. Now look who's coming past as he decides to go on the soft tyres. Well, surprisingly, rookie started going on the medium tyres, so a bit of a different strategy for a rookie. I don't know if that was a choice to go to medium, if he thought the softs wouldn't last to the end, but I'm surprised. The second one of the it's one of the short tracks on the calendar. It is what it is, as they will round turn 6 now, and Joris probably a bit happier now in the position that he is, and P6 is looking favourable for himself. Kozzy unfortunately down. He decided to go early on this soft tyre strategy, losing out dramatically, finding himself in P11, not favouring him at all. As let's quick look at the penalty situation. And there is a few penalties on board. We'll leave that up for the remainder of this race to give you an idea. As Alexander Johnson, with 18 seconds of penalties, will drop him down to P12. And Attila with 15 seconds, definitely going to be a dead last by the end of this, as Joris sets the fastest lap of the race as he hunts down Mattia. He's out for blood. Joris is out for blood. Alex Beru will be staying in P4 at the end of this race, but from the way it stands, if the race ends now, Vincent has comfortably and with ease been leading this race without a hint of hesitation, with a hint, not even a hint of doubt. And hats off goes to him for holding his own. Theon being a great contender. He's again holding his own. He's had a little bit of a hoo-ha, shall we say, a little bit of danger, but nothing too major, nothing to worry about. He's again comfortably in a position where now he's comfortably in a position where he doesn't have to do much as a battle for 10th is unfolded. Hello, as Kozzy is, I believe, gotten past Rookie somehow, and is now Rookie. I think he's lost his front wing. So Rookie is going to drop down the order. Yeah, that's a front wing completely gone. Don't know where he's caught it. But now Kozzy back into the points. As Jerry Van Bussel tried to join the early lots, pitting early to go to softs. Not worked out for him. Up in P4 he was, but not anymore. The Alpine, the Williams driver, sorry, did not choose the right strategy. Down in P9, not where he wants to be, taking account he's 4th in this championship. And it is a very unfortunate race for himself, as Kozzy still continues to close that gap. We're coming on to lap 23, the leader of the race crossing that line as the number changes. 4 laps to go. And unlike the last few races where the drivers have been ever so close come to the end of the race, the action has been happening near the mid part of the race. The action constantly continues, and these drivers fail to disappoint once again as the action continues not only at the front, but today it's been the mid-pack surprising us with moves and action all over the place. A fully dry track now making it a bit less interesting in the sense that nobody's, going for those wild moves, but we stick and watch Kozzy, as that is where the action is the closest, as Kozzy is closing down that gap dramatically. He might be able to make a lunge. He decides against it. Put yourself in a better position, go around these couple of corners, and then power it out, but he has lost time through turns 1, 2, and 3. As he won't be able to make the move into turn 4. Nearly breaking the barrier. Frankie started P2. A very poor start, finding himself down into P9, but works his way back up. He's now in P5, using the right tyre strategy, and at the right time, he's finding himself comfortably where he is, slowly trying to work his way through the pack as the soft runner of Alex Beru. I think he pitted a little bit earlier, if I remember rightly. He is on that threshold as once again Alex Beru sticking to the inside of the track, trying to break the toe early and deny Frankie from really getting behind him, as Frankie is going to make a move down the inside. That was such a late lunge from Frankie, and he still is in this fight, and Frankie's found the pace brilliantly. I don't know if Alex actually has a problem, and that's why he's diving out of the way, because Frankie's going to go down the outside and claim the position before turn 4. And out of nowhere, Frankie is putting himself back into serious points positions into P4. And what looked to be a horrible race might have favoured him as he's back up to where he wants to be. And who is that? I think that is Attila. Has spun on track further back. Lap 35, 2 laps remaining of the Mexican Grand Prix. Well, these people have been speedy and the food is definitely delicioso. And what a Mexican Grand Prix this has been. Is there any last action from any of these boys? It may come from the likes of Kozzy. He qualified P6. He's down in P10, so he needs a redemption from here. He knows that he'll gain one position from Alex Johnson, and possibly, if he's in the right time frame, maybe from Joris if he stays close enough. So there's 2 positions to be gained, so potential P8, but he wants P7 dramatically. He's 6/10 behind. This is the position he wants to find himself in. He closes and closes and closes. He could make a lunge here, but no. Not just yet. He has to wait for a little bit through the S's where he's been losing time. And then once again, he's losing a bit more time, but finds good traction on the exit this time. Has Kozzy got the pace to make the move into turn 4? No. He does not have it into turn 4 as he will have to wait one more lap once again. As the race leader has just gone to lap 35. I thought we were on lap 35. I've read it wrong. Now there's 2 laps remaining. So that he does have a bit more of opportunities as Attila once again has spun. And Kozzy, he's got good pace through these corners. And he just, there's not enough straight on the exit of turn 11 to make a move into turn 12. Because I feel that if he had that just a little bit earlier, I feel he could possibly be making a move down there. Maybe an extension of the DRS zone could be seeing some more overtakes happening. As this time, Kozzy is mightily closer. He is in a position to fight. He is wanting to do something here. And there we go. An overtake for Kozzy. And he will get the DRS to help him on the exit. Oh, it is the final lap. The lap changer was extremely late. So on the last lap, Kozzy has made his move. But a man who has dominated this race. He has kept himself cool. He has not in a doubt thought he was not going to lose this race. No matter 3 weather condition changes, 2 tyre changes. Vincent wins the Mexico Grand Prix with ease. Theon finding himself in 2nd, and Dimitri again finding himself going up through the field. Comfortably finds himself in 3rd. Frankie holds off Alex Biru for a little bit longer. Finds himself in 4th place. Mattia. What a battle you've been having today. He finds himself in 6th place. And with no penalties to his name, is comfortably in 6th place. And what a race he has been having. Unfortunately, Alexander Johnson will be dropping down the positions a bit further as Kozzy will get his 7th place. Only losing 1 spot today. Joris in 8th. Alexander Johnson will actually drop below Days Rhombus as Days Rhombus finds himself in 9th. Getting points for himself as Jerry Van Bussel, who started in P4, has not had his day and will only get 1 point. A poor tyre strategy not working out for him. And that is so sad to see. Alex Johnson finding 11th. And Rookie finds himself in 12th. Norby in 13th. And Attila in 14th. And there you go. A race which has put us all on the edge. On the edge of our seats. It's been a definite battle. And who was your driver of the day? Because, oh my lord, there are too many names to say who was driver of the day. The mid-pack showing us God knows how much action. And wow. I think I might need a new voice box. I genuinely think that for the amount of action that we saw today, the amount of chaos and carnage, but all eyes focus on this man, Vincent. for winning the Mexican Grand Prix. And yeah, what do you say to that? Honestly, what do you say to that? He won't gain the fastest lap. Fastest lap will be given to Fionn, and actually was near to a second quicker than Vincent. So coming towards the end stages, I think there's maybe another 10 laps. Fionn might be looking to contest and go for fastest lap. Him may try challenge, but that was a race for sure. For sure, that was a memorable race amongst this tier. And wow. Ooh, hello. It was absolutely sterling. It is the pinnacle of racing when you see stuff like this, where it is just action after action after action. It is what you want to see from an F1 race. But that being said, we will be heading, where are we heading to next week? We look at the calendar. We've done Mexico. We head to Japan, assuming there will be no changes to the calendar. And it's good to be back at Japan. I haven't done a Japanese commentary for a while. Haven't seen it being used as often. So I'm glad to see it back on the calendar. And it will be entertaining for these guys for sure. And I look forward to see what they come of it. I've been Hyperactive and, well, Reese Gregory as they put my name as, but overall. And thank you all for watching and have a great night.
This broadcast was brought to you by GT Omega and Grid Rival, proudly supporting PSGL.